I thought it was all over.
Nope.
They roll coverage. Which is we're going to be looking over this draft, okay? So obviously first pick, Cam Ward, made sense to the Tennessee Titans. It was telegraphed forever. They really do need a quarterback. They were able to add Tyler Lockett. So you're adding Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett to that offense. You have a lot of opportunity there. Cam Ward's going to be as dynamic as he absolutely can be, but obviously I have a lot of reservations about Cam Ward. Cam Ward is not only a raw quarterback, I do think he's a bit less raw than, say, for example, an Anthony Richardson that we saw. So I don't think the Titans will be in a Colts situation. So I do think they avoided that divisional disaster. I do think, though, that Cam Ward is going to massively struggle in the NFL, especially at the high level. If he comes in and is at a Geno Smith 20 to 25 range, you know what? He's good enough, especially for the first round pick. But if he comes in there and plays like, and I know it's going to be terrible to say because I'm a Carolina Panthers fan and I'm absolutely pushing for Bryce this year. His rookie season was really bad. Really, really bad. Next season, a little bit better. Still don't love it. Ending of the season was a lot better, but even then there's some like mirage stats in there. So I don't want him to come out there and do that because obviously that sets the Titans back a long time. And I'm not sure if they're willing to wait and get a Dave Canales or even if they have the Dave Canales already in-house in Brian Callahan. So there's so many questions with Tennessee. I still have so many concerns. I've continually said that Cam Ward isn't even my quarterback one. I would honestly put Shedeur Sanders ahead of him, which if you went to the draft or watched the draft, 5th round for Shedeur, that's just absolutely crazy. But that is not the focus of today. So overall, Tennessee, I think you guys did good with the pick. I personally, in my draft, I had you guys taking Abdul Carter because I felt like take the pass rusher or trade out of the pick. Cam Ward isn't the truly generational. Again, if he was in last year's draft, he'd even be behind Bo Nix, who some people believe wasn't even a first-round talent. So the fact that he went number 1 overall is truly just the quote-unquote, I guess, suckiness of this NFL draft in the context of quarterbacks. But even then, I feel like there's so many good later quarterbacks that just aren't able to just come in there and immediately win a playoff game. But that shouldn't be what we're asking rookie quarterbacks to do. I understand it is, but if your team isn't built around that, he can't overcome the NFL. He's just getting there. I think that's a bit crazy. This one was a bananas pick. I think it's interesting, though, because I do think that the Jaguars ended up with a phenomenal draft. In fact, they're one of my favorite drafts in the NFL. I'm actually going to pull theirs up real quick because I really liked what they did. So the Travis Hunter pick I don't like, but especially because you guys gave up the first round pick. You guys gave up a first round pick next year and I think a second round as well. Will it actually show me the trade details? It's not going to show me the trade details on here, of course. Oh, here we go. Trade up. Let's see if this has it. Okay, yeah, here we go. Cleveland receives the number 5 pick in a second round, a 4th selection, and the 2026 first round from the Jaguars, who receive the number 2 pick and a 4th round choice and a 6th round choice. So you really screwed yourself long term, but if this is the guy, you got the guy. I personally don't even, again, these high-ranked guys, I don't really believe in some of them. He is not even my wide receiver one, and he's not my cornerback one. I obviously do think that he's better than the cornerback that you got in Caleb Branshaw, but I'm going to be honest. I'm a die-hard Caleb Branshaw guy. 5'11", 197 out of Tulane. Yeah, he was ranked 23 at his position. Good Lord, I cannot speak this morning. 3rd fastest 40, top vertical, tied for the 3rd best broad jump. Dude is a monster. And I think that in the right system and everything like that, he's going to be dynamic. To be honest, so many of these guys I loved and I really wish would have fallen to Carolina, but that's just not where we went this year. I was a big supporter of Caleb Branshaw, Wyatt Milam, Bishal Tootin, Jack Kaiser, Jonah Monheim, and LaQuint Allen. So this was like, oh my God, Jacksonville really went out. And so I really want to see what this becomes. Jonah Monheim being the big one because he was my center number 1, taken in the 7th round. Blows my mind. He's got like 3,000 snaps in college. He's only allowed a handful of snaps or a handful of sacks. I mean, dude is absolutely dynamic. And the fact that you got him in the 7th round blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Again, I'm also another big supporter of Jack Kaiser, so I really feel like Jacksonville did a great job here. I'm just a bit concerned, like I said, about the trade up for Travis Hunter, but if it makes sense to you guys long term, then that's kind of all that matters. You're setting your franchise back a bit by getting rid of that first round pick, but hey, you again obviously know what you're talking about, so I'm not even going to mess with it. Moving on, the Giants obviously go out and get Abdul Carter, best possible position. You need to go get that pass rusher. One of the things that the New York Giants are actually known for is going to get those pass rushers. Just go out there. It doesn't matter what you need. Go get the pass rusher and then go figure out the rest later, which obviously we'll get to see what they did later on. I do think this is a solid pick. You pair him with Kayvon Thibodeau. You pair him with Brian Burns. And anybody else that you're going to bring on that defense. I don't necessarily remember a whole lot of the Giants' defense that they drafted. So let me see. New York Giants. So let's see. They took Carter. Obviously, they take Dart later on. Ooh, I do like Darius Alexander, so that's a solid one. Marcus and Bo, fantastic there. Not a big Fedone fan, but Corey Black I like a lot. So overall, I think you guys did pretty good. Scatabo is going to be an interesting pick. Good to just put another running back in there, especially one that could catch the ball out of the backfield to help out Jackson Dart. So I think this is solid. Overall, this is probably a C+ draft for me, just because. Actually, I tell you, B-. Abdul Carter makes this win. I don't believe in Jackson Dart yet, but there are so many links that were linking Jackson Dart and the New York Giants that there was no way they were going to pass on him. Darius Alexander, I really like out of college. Big, huge defensive tackle. Yeah, ranked 5th overall, 6'4", 305. He did well. Lots of great effort from him in a lot of the plays that even he wasn't involved in. So Scatabo, obviously, we don't need to talk a whole lot about him. Scatabo was known by so many people. Absolutely insane. Let's see, 1,500 rushing yards, 500 receiving yards in a single season. I don't know really what else you need to know. That's really all you need to know. Marcus Mbo, the Purdue guard, I really like him, especially 5th round, 18th pick. I feel like this draft, especially with so many of the guys that were taken in the first, really displayed the NFL's desire to fill those trench positions. Defensive line, offensive line. Those were the positions that people were like, oh, Will Campbell's going to fall. Where did Will Campbell go? He went immediately, as soon as he could, to go protect Drake May. Now, obviously, he has the now iconic quote, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to die on the field for Drake May to protect him. I absolutely love it. Massive W. I was a huge Will Campbell fan coming out of this draft. I didn't really understand. I was one of the people as well that said, hey, if he really can't work at tackle, you're going to move him inside the guard, and he's going to be a fantastic guard. So for that reason, I was super down for this. He only gave up a handful of sacks across his entire collegiate career at LSU. Played against top-tier talent. He's a half-inch shorter in the arm, but I think it's going to work absolutely at the next level. So in my opinion, Drake May did get his tackle for the future. And like I said, a minimum guard. I do think he's going to be a tackle at the next level, though, especially as a New England Patriot, especially in the Mike Vrabel scheme and everything like that. That's the identity that they needed. Will Campbell is that guy. This one, I don't necessarily love from them, but they're doing a trade back. You're going and getting the defensive tackle in the center. He is one of the better defensive tackles, though. People believe that Kenneth Grant has a higher upside long term. He's really dynamic. I mean, he jumps off the film. He can absolutely disrupt plays. Massive bowling ball, Vita Vea type guy right in the center. So I really like this for them, but I feel like you guys could have used something else here. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to be 100% upfront with that. You don't have a quarterback, really. You don't really have an X-wide receiver. Nick Chubb is your running back, but he's not signed, I believe. So I'm a bit concerned about that. I'm going to go look at theirs as well. Mason Graham. Ooh, I like Carson Schweschinger, Quinshon Judkins, Fannin, Gabriel, Sampson, and of course they took Shadur later. I personally believe that the depth chart is obviously they have 5 now. They have Deshaun Watson, who's not going to play for them, who's still dead cap. You have Kenny Pickett, you have Joe Flacco, you have Dylan Gabriel, you have Shadur Sanders. There's no way in hell that Shadur should have gone over Dylan Gabriel, so that, I feel like, in my mind, I've already mentally flipped them. I do feel like Shadur is going to beat out Dylan Gabriel basically immediately if he gets the opportunity to just compete. Now, can he beat Joe Flacco? Can he beat Kenny Pickett? Yes, absolutely. I think he could beat both of those guys. He's mobile enough. He is going to prove a lot of people wrong. I obviously think he's going to have growing pains, but if you hated Shadur Sanders for what his dad was, you need to grow up. It's as simple as that. He's going to be able to do stuff at the next level. He had a dynamic wide receiver. You don't really have that in Cleveland. You're going to be relying on running the ball more. You didn't take an offensive lineman, so that doesn't really help you guys either, considering your offensive line isn't the best in the world. That division is getting better, especially with some of the other people in your division who loaded up big time, which we're going to get to them. So this division just got infinitely harder. I understand the Mason Graham pick. I do. I just don't know if that's the pick I would have taken. If I'm going to be honest with you, I probably shop that pick and do everything I can to get out of 5. I don't care if it's 5 to 6. Do anything I can to start amassing some more picks, because the Browns could have absolutely dropped down. Look at that. 12. They were going to take Kenneth Grant. Obviously, I thought they would take a guard, but the fact that they take a defensive tackle here means that they probably would have taken Mason Graham. Kenneth Grant would have been on the board, and boom, we're off rolling. I also do think that if Mason Graham made it to the 49ers, he probably would have been a 49er, but they really need a pass rush. But that's for another day. The Raiders have been mocked Ashton Jeanty like 99 out of 100 times since the Pete Carroll signing. I think it's absolutely amazing that Pete Carroll gets his running back for the future. I'm not the biggest Jeanty fan at the NFL level. I thought he did really well at Boise State, and obviously they fed him the ball trying to get him the Heisman. I'm more concerned long-term with the opportunity of Jeanty staying healthy, and with the fact of the way that the position has been devalued. So is he truly going to be the every down back for the Raiders? Probably not. He's going to be splitting carries and everything like that, so they're going to try and probably keep him healthy, though he's still going to probably get a little bit of the majority of overall snaps. I think this is a good pick for them. It's a Pete Carroll pick. I really, really am surprised that no corner went this high. I mean, we don't even get a corner until we're 20, so that blows my mind. But yeah, I honestly thought corner here, or maybe offensive lineman, but with Jeanty there, he took BPA in his mind, so I'm happy with that. The Jets get another guy in Armand Membu. You know what? Let's also check out the Raiders thing real quick before I move on. So this way I don't have to go back and check it out. The Raiders take Jeanty. I'm not a big fan of Jack Betch, but a lot of people love him, so I have to believe. Darian Porter, I loved coming out of college, so you guys got a dude in him. Caleb Rogers, I think, could be really good as well, but I do think Charles Grant is better, but you took them back-to-back, so it's not like it matters. Dante Thornton, the size, the height is what I was trying to say. 6'4", I'm pretty sure. 6'5", 205. Yeah, dude's got some absolute length. Got some burners down the end, too. He's not like a 4'2", but he's up there. And to be honest, at that size, most of the corners are going to be multiple inches shorter than you, so you just need to get up there and go get that ball. That's what he was able to do at Tennessee, so I like that. Tonka Hemingway is another one of those guys that I thought was going to really do something, and then you take Peegs immediately after. I say immediately, but that's your next pick 2 rounds later. So you did well. You take another one in Tommy Malone. I have not seen a ton of his tape, so I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot. I'm not going to pass judgment or anything on him because, again, I don't know. Let's see. Wow, 3,500 in passing yards. Oh, is he a quarterback? He's an inconsistent passer and grades out as an undrafted free agent at quarterback. But here he's listed as a wide receiver. Makes him an interesting potential late round pick. Oh, so could this be a situation where you didn't take a quarterback? Tommy Malone is a former quarterback that you're converting to receiver/running back. Cam Miller, you took out, 2-time FCS National Championship, 2-time captain, 45-11. He doesn't have great top-end speed, but he's quick enough to scramble for first downs. Okay, so is that your quarterback that you're going to try and develop behind Geno and then use Malone as like a gadget player? That's interesting. That's something for me to think about later. Tommy Malone. Let's move on, though. Armand Membu. Again, I love the pick. Membu is one of my favorite tackles out of the entire draft. 6'4", 332. I didn't know he was ranked number 1 at the position. I thought Campbell was. Where'd they have Campbell, 2? 2. Yeah, okay, whatever. That's fine with me. Yeah, he did play in zone-heavy schemes at Missouri. Exceptional for his size. Seals the edge. Love everything about it. It's quick enough to handle speed off the edge, even though he has shorter arms at the position. I think he's going to be dynamic. I think you guys really, really got somebody in Membu. You obviously have Olafashanu as well at tackle. You really need to short up that offensive line. Justin Fields is going to be able to escape. Escape forever is a whole separate argument, though. So that's a whole separate thing. Now, when we come back here, let's go to teams. We are looking at the Jets. Where'd the Jets go? NYG. What the hell? Oh, it didn't let me double click it. That's weird. Okay. Armand Membu, Mason Taylor. A lot of people liked Thomas out of there. Malachi Moore, I loved. Tyler Barron could be another interesting one out of Miami. So this is a solid draft overall, if I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't expect you guys to do this. Arian Smith, I don't love. Yeah, those ugly drops is the first thing I was thinking about. But hey, you're trying to figure out something with this team. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall. You're going to be running the ball more. That's why you went out and got a blocking tight end and everything like that. Shore up the defense with Thomas. Malachi Moore over the top. Another guy in the center and then an edge. I think this is solid. I guess technically 3 offensive players, but really 2 when it comes to tight end and wide receiver. When it comes to offensive firepower, I think that's a great draft for you guys. Now I get to my beautiful team here, my Carolina Panthers. And I want to tell you guys something. Way back in February, when everybody was doing their draft, there wasn't a whole lot of people mocking Teteroa McMillan. But right here on Roll Coverage, with the show I've been doing now for a few weeks, live streaming every Monday through Friday from now 9 to 11, a full 2-hour show, again, free on all the platforms, I picked Teteroa McMillan to the Carolina Panthers. And so many people said, no, we do not need a wide receiver. We don't need anything. He doesn't have the high-end speed. And people would argue with me, but mostly people were just resigning themselves to the Jalen Walker. I was kind of that person too, and as we got closer to the draft, I was like, I really want Teteroa, but Jalen Walker seems to be the pick. Would I have liked Mason Graham? Absolutely. Would I like a Michael Williams? Any of those guys? I think that they have so much potential, but Teteroa was really the one that I wanted for this team. The reason why is because Bryce Young had a lot of issues in the professional start of his career as opposed to his college career. His college career, he was able to have some amazing downfield threats, whether or not they were tall guys like Jameson Williams or shorter guys like Devonta Smith, who obviously now has a Super Bowl ring with the Eagles. So I think that there's so much that he could really change with this offense. I do think he's absolutely amazing. While they say he doesn't explode out of breaks, there's lots of guys that run absolutely, blazing 4.6s that still do absolutely amazing in the NFL. Go look at Mike Evans, which is my comparison for him and has been my comparison for him. He is Mike Evans. Xavier Legette is now our Chris Godwin. So that's where we're at with this. That's what Dave Canales was used to, that big body wide receiver. That's what Bryce is used to, a big body receiver down on the left side, or, hey, if you're switching it out, down on the right side. So I think this is a stellar pick. I don't understand I thought it meant it was 91 graded. So he's 91 out of 100. That's good. 13th overall pick. If he went to the Cowboys, it would have made sense. That's probably who they were targeting. But when I look at this draft, I'm happy. Now I'm going to tell you why I'm happy, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why I am fine with this as of now. Now, obviously, Teteroa, I'm absolutely over the moon about. Nick Scorton, I'm not sold on him, but you know who is? Ejiro Evero, Dave Canales, and Dan Morgan. Now, mind you, I'm not a Dan Morgan supporter. I'm going to be honest with you. Even now, I think this is a very good draft, but this, in my opinion, does not take Dan Morgan's feet off the fire. Dan Morgan's first draft leaves a lot to be desired, if I'm going to be honest with you, and a lot of guys that we picked in that first draft are now going to be more redundant, we'll say, and especially if they don't take the leap forwards that we were expecting them to do, we're going to be replacing those positions in 2026. Scorton has so much opportunity to really go out there and affect change. And what I mean affect change, it's going to be him off the edge. And obviously we have Princely as well. Another one that blows my mind. He fell to the 3rd round. Nobody went after this guy. I don't know why. It's probably the Ole Miss comp. Let's see. When he drops into pass coverage, he's an effective hook and roll, blah, blah, blah. who can read quarterbacks. Yeah, I don't understand why people didn't really love him. I liked him. I just never thought that he would be available, if I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't have him in a whole lot of drafts because I was drafting him over, say, a Kevin Winston or somebody like that. So a really extra need. And especially if we had addressed edge, say, at the second round, I would have been able to not go double edge. But I think the Scorton pick is more of a, we are hoping that those traits develop into something more. I think he can be disruptive. I think he could be great, especially opposite Princely, especially opposite Derek Brown. We're eventually going to probably rush Trevin Wallace and some guys like that, rush some of our safeties. We're probably going to throw Trevon Moehrig into the box eventually. So I think that the amalgamation of these few players is really going to be what changes it. Now, this is the next pick that I'm not the biggest fan of, and the only reason why is because I don't really understand why we keep taking running backs with this position, especially this draft. So if I was to come here, I'm going to go to the 4th round where we took him, okay? So let's go down. So we took Trevor Etienne. So let's look at some of the people we passed on. We passed on a safety of Billy Bowman. We passed on Jack Sawyer, who, mark my words, is going to come bite us in the ass. We passed on Kyle Kennards, which I know was another player that we absolutely loved, or at least we had met a bunch of times. We pass on Jalen Royals, who was a loved player by so many of the Carolina faithful. Joshua Farmer at defensive tackle, who I really like. Tonka. Quay Robinson, who I think is going to be dynamic in Denver. Whether or not he stays edge or moves to linebacker, I think he could do both, especially with his lean frame. I think it's got a lot of opportunity. And then, of course, Quincy Riley falling a division absolutely sucks. So I'm really hoping that ETN can make a measurable impact over what some of the other positions we could have taken. Now, obviously, if we're talking safety, we then immediately take Lathan Ransom, who I am 100% sold on. I've been sold on Ransom. Ransom has been one of the safeties that I've been mocking to the Carolina Panthers for the longest time, so I'm absolutely over the moon with this. Played at a winning franchise, played at a high level, just won an Natty. Peanut punching machine. I'm sold on this guy. Cam Jackson, another one. Big, huge defensive tackle out of Florida. Big, huge wide arms. He's going to go in there, obviously now with Princely, with Scorton, with Derek Brown, going after people. Whether or not we switch it to a 4-3 on occasion or just remain with the 3-4, it's going to be interesting. Because if you go 4, then you probably play Derek Brown and Cam Jackson together, Scorton and Princely on both sides. Oh, it's going to be a great day to go hunting some quarterbacks. So if that's the case, I'm super happy. Mitchell Evans falling, one of the faster tight ends, but one of the things that he really does well, not only when it comes to catching, because obviously he's decorated when it comes to that, it's the in-line blocking, which is going to be the one that sets him above. We obviously made an extension to Tommy Tremble to keep him here. We just took Jatavian Sanders the previous year, a tight end that we, to be honest, we're struggling with him. He's not a good enough blocker. He's a great receiver. But when we're not running the 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field, he doesn't really get the opportunity to get the ball to the level that he's going to need to justify him being tight end number 1. He needs to be a target machine to improve, and I really feel like Mitchell Evans is not that. Mitchell Evans is going to be able to come in, block. He's going to be able to come in, set blocks on the side, and then free him up. Hey, give me a 10-yard out route, and we're good. And he's going to be able to really help us out a lot. And while he doesn't have the high-end speed, he's going to be more than good enough to be our tight end 1, to be honest, within the next 2 years, especially if given the chance. If he can beat out Jatavian Sanders, he can beat out Tommy Tremble. Not saying that Tremble's bad or anything like that. He's a much better blocker than Sanders is, but in my opinion, Sanders is probably a better receiver, but it's maybe only by a tiny bit. And then, of course, I was the one that said, we can't leave this draft without Jimmy Horn Jr. I'm super, 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 super happy that we took Jimmy Horn Jr. Yes, he's smaller and everything like that, but you know what I need? I need a good slot guy. I need a guy who on occasionally people are just going to miss on the field, and he's going to end up wide open, kind of like we saw with that beautiful blown coverage that Jalen Coker took for the touchdown. So for that reason, I am happy. Happy with what we did. You obviously saw my concerns. I really wish we could have gone something else with that ETN pick. But overall, as long as he's able to come in and help out, I'm happy. To be honest, it probably tells me that Rico Dowdle is a 1-year rental. So we're probably going to run Chuba and Rico quite a bit. Jonathan Brooks is out the entire season, so we're going to be waiting till 2026 to see him. He will see 0 snaps in 2025. With that, there is no other opportunity than, hey, bring in ETN. Let's see what he can do. Worst case, he's going to be running back 3 once Brooks comes back, because to be honest, we're probably going to have Brooks number 1, Chuba 2, and then ETN 3. Moving down, though, the Saints decide to pass on a quarterback and go for best available tackle. I can't deny that. That's probably their best option, Kelvin Banks Jr. I really don't see another way that you take a quarterback here, especially considering second, you really just went and took Tyler Shuck, who I don't believe in, but whatever. You guys do. So hopefully he sucks and my team can continue to destroy you guys. Again, NFC South, I always tell everybody, check out your division. When I was watching the draft as a Panthers fan, as soon as we picked Tataroa, I immediately switched my brain to who are the Saints picking? If they take Shadur here, this is going to be a battle for the next decade. If they pass on him or if they take Dart, the Saints are back to irrelevancy. And what did they do? They took Tyler Shuck out of Louisville with some of the worst decision-making that I've seen. If he was Lamar Jackson, it would have been a reason why they didn't want him to be in the league. I just don't believe in Tyler Shuck, so I think this is a laughable pick, if I'm going to be honest with you. Again, Kelvin Banks is an A+ for me. Vernon, I liked. I'm not a big Texas guy when it comes to defensive players for the most part. I faded Barron. I'm trying to think of other guys on there that I looked at. I faded most of those Texas players, if I'm going to be honest. So for that reason, I can't really give this one a high grade, but he could obviously do really well in the defensive system, especially now that Kellen Moore is the head coach. Jonas Sanker, one of the highest rated safeties from so many people. Virginia, played against solid competition. He's able to cover linebackers. He's able to cover tight ends. So especially in the NFC South where everything is kind of changing, I think that was a fantastic pickup. Same thing with the next 3 picks. Stutzman is a solid linebacker out of Oklahoma, fast, going to be able to help you over the center because I think so many of these teams are going to go to zone, and that's really what we're going to do. So he's going to have to really be able to react and explode at people. Quincy Riley was one of my favorite cornerback prospects coming out. Oh, did my internet just go down? Oh, sorry if you guys were watching and it went out real quick. My apologies. I don't know why it's freaking out. Whatever. Let me try and shut some of this other stuff in the background. See if maybe that'll speed it up. Let me close Discord. Okay, sorry guys if it lagged for you. I apologize. It just gave me a little bit of a notice that it might have dropped a frame or two. So if that's the case, I'm sorry. Quincy Riley, again, is one of my favorite corners in the draft. I think he was absolutely dynamic. Let's look at that. 5'11", 194. Obviously lined up outside and over the slot, so he gives a lot of flexibility. You already have a decent corner there, so he's going to come in as your cornerback 2 or 3. And then, of course, Devin Neal, the running back out of Kansas, I thought he was awesome. You are looking for your running back of the future, given that Kamara is not going to be there forever, and your running back 2 really doesn't give anything to be desired. Matavo, I haven't done a ton of research on. I've heard good things, but again, I'm not going to pass judgment. I've heard good things, but this one I'm just going to give him a pass on. And then Fadil Diggs, watched quite a bit on him. Syracuse guy. I think he's really interesting prospect, but again, 7th round, 38th pick. He's absolutely a developmental guy. So if he can go in there and get 2 or 3 sacks in his first season, it's a massive win as a 7th rounder. Moving on. Colston Loveland, one of my favorite picks in the draft. I think Colston Loveland is tight end number 1 for this class. Tyler Warren took a ton of receptions from a place of 5 yards or less. I think he does have a slightly longer, distance to catch or something, whatever the stat is. Or air yards per catch. I think it's just ahead of Colston Loveland here. But the one thing that I'm going to be honest with you, I remove I believe it's the USC game for Tyler Warren, where it was like 14 receptions on 190 yards. Like, they were just feeding you that game, and that's not really what's going to happen in the NFL for the most part. It might be, but I doubt it. This guy's a much better blocker than Tyler Warren, better hands in my opinion. He moves into an offense with Cole Kmet, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Caleb Williams. He is going to be dynamic. If you're a fantasy player and you need a tight end and you have the ability to take Colston Leveler, for some reason he falls to you, take him. Especially over somebody like a Harold Fandon Jr. that so many people love, or a Mason Taylor, another tight end in this draft from LSU. This is the guy to take. Tyler Warren, let them go fawn over him. Take Loveland. He's going to be your tight end for the future. The Bears, I think, had a decent draft as well. Again, I'm going to pull this back up. Let's go to the Bears. Colston Loveland, I like. Luther Burden, that was the one. The Bryce Young trade finally finishes as the Bears take Luther Burden. That trade is so bad for my Carolina Panthers that I cannot even begin. I think Luther Burden is going to be die-freaking-namic at the next level. So the fact that he falls to the Bears through this whole Bryce Young trade blows my mind, and I hate it. But you guys did get a dude in him, so I cannot knock the Bears. Ozzie Trapillo was one of the heavily mocked players to the Carolina Panthers as well. Offensive tackle, I think, is going to be awesome. Absolutely dynamic. I also think it's smart that you guys went 3 offensive players. Shoring up that offensive line, even though you just invested so much into it, is smart. And then you go and double dip in another tackle. But again, remember, tackles can be moved into guards pretty quickly, so this isn't a bad pick for y'all. Shamar Turner, Ruben Hoplite, I like them both. Shamar Turner has a interesting upside. Yeah, position rank 6. So many people think he's going to be awesome. It's that explosive ability, not the on-field production with these Texas A&M guys. So you're really hoping that they're going to translate at the next level. Ruben Hoplite, again, really liked him. I don't know why some more people didn't take linebackers. I still think it's a very valued position, but recently it seems like it's very devalued. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. And then, of course, Za Frazier. I was a big fan of Za Frazier. I'm a big UTSA fan. I think these smaller schools can produce some really great players, especially secondary players. So I like that. And then of Monagai from Rutgers. Don't know a whole lot about him, but running backs out of Rutgers, I'll take it. Especially 7th round, 17th pick. It's a W. Chicago did good with this pick. Obviously not taking an edge might hurt them down the road, but we shall see. This one is an interesting pick, and I'm going to tell you why this one's an interesting pick. Number 11, Mykel Williams. Let's go to the San Francisco 49ers. Oops. It doesn't let me. There we go. Okay. San Francisco went a lot of defensive players, but also got some offensive players, okay? And I'm going to tell you the reason why this Mykel Williams pick makes sense. What do you know the 49ers for? You know them for defense. You know them for drafting players. You know them for building great defensive teams, developing not only them long-term, but making sure that they work in this system for a long time. Mykel Williams is the first, or at least one of the first. I think the last draft was the first. So this is the second year under the new scouting regime, under the new GM. They obviously lost Adam Peters to the Commanders, who obviously goes on to draft Jaden Daniels, so he's already starting well out there. 6-11 last year for the 49ers, so they're really wanting to rebound. I absolutely think they could turn it around. I could absolutely see a situation where they're back in the playoffs this year. I'll probably pick them to be back in the playoffs again this year. I'm a bit concerned about a lot of places, but obviously taking corner helps out a lot, a big position of need with Upton Stout taking it. Connor Colby, another big one here. Junior Bergen. I like all of these. There's none that I overwhelmingly love besides the first two, Mykel and Alfred. The rest are just kind of good picks. Jordan James, I feel like that's a really good pick. I think this is going to be a sleeper for the 49ers. So if you're able to pick this guy up in fantasy, remember, they have a lot of running backs, and their running backs get hurt a lot. So there's a situation where Jordan James could be the starting running back pretty quickly. They did just pay Christian McCaffrey again, so that doesn't say that Jordan James should go high, but if you're taking a deep flyer on him in fantasy, especially dynasty fantasy, it's absolutely worth the risk. Wide receiver Jordan Watkins, I'm not a big fan, so I'd fade him in fantasy, and same thing with Junior Bergen. Curtis Rourke, I like Curtis Rourke, if I'm going to be honest with you. Is that a safety pick if Brock Purdy gets hurt or something like that? Absolutely. If Curtis Rourke ends up becoming something in the NFL, oh wait, he played the 2024 season on a torn ACL, which means he's probably not healed right now. Let's see. Curtis Rourke injury. Set for surgery. So he's not even going to play. So you're not even taking him as a backup. You're taking him as a true flyer. Wow. In August, first for the ACL. Oh, so this is his second time tearing his ACL. Wow. So you're really just hoping that he's a backup. Interesting. Curtis Rourke. Good thing I never cared about Curtis Rourke. Connor Colby. Really like Connor Colby. I don't really care what anybody says. You can kiss it. Okay, let's move on. This one was an interesting one. I know a lot of people hated the Tyler Booker pick, but I'm going to tell you why it makes sense. I'm going to tell you why this is actually a pretty decent, maybe subtly great draft. And again, I'm also a die-hard hater of the Cowboys. I just think Jerry Jones needs to go off into the sunset and maybe fall asleep under a tree. I don't care. But he needs to get away from the Cowboys. He is doing more damage to this franchise than he is helping it. But to be honest, these first probably 5 picks, shout out to the scouting department. Shout out to Jerry Jones if you were involved in this. I think this is one of your better drafts. So for that, I got to give you credit. Tyler Booker, you obviously lose Zach Martin to retirement. One of the biggest concerns going forward for any team is the offensive line, especially offensive interior. So you shore that up for at least the next decade with Tyler Booker. If I'm the GM for the Cowboys, I probably look at a situation where I also take another guard down the road. If I'm going to be honest, the person I would have also added to this team was the kid out of, Sacramento State. It was Slater. NFL draft, Slater. Jackson Slater, that's what it was. Oh, he's a Titan now. So they took him in the 5th round. So you could have taken him over Shamar. Nah, I actually like that Shamar pick for you guys. So I guess he wouldn't have really been there for y'all. I think this kid's going to be really, really great, even though he's out of Sacramento State. That's what it was. So that would have been the other pick that I tried to get. But to be honest, Siobhan Revelle, one of the highest rated corners in the draft. He's my cornerback number 2. Only behind one person. Donovan Ezraku is going to be absolutely amazing. An edge, him and Micah Parsons, Siobhan Revelle over the back with Diggs. This is a good start. Jaden Blue at running back. You do need a running back long term. 5'9". I don't love that for you guys. I really wish you guys would have gotten somebody bigger because I feel like that's really what the Cowboys running back is to me. A little bit bigger guy that can actually take some heat. Phil Maffa at 6'1" could really do well. He doesn't appear to have elite top-end speed, but can break long runs when he gets a seam. At the NFL level, I'm not really sure if he's going to be able to do that, but you're really hoping. Aking Basode. Huh. I can't believe he actually got drafted. Nice, man. Hell yeah. Well, again, I really like this for them. I think it's really subtly a good one. Shamar James, I don't necessarily love, but what he did at Florida was good enough. He can really develop as a man coverage. But again, most of these teams are moving to zone, so I think he can really, really help out. And like it says, James can also cover kickoffs and punts, so that's going to be another part of his role. Dolphins. Again, another one I'm not the biggest fan. They're going to be down later. Miami Dolphins. You only took one offensive lineman, which I think was the wrong thing to do. You did take one of the highest rated offensive linemen, in my opinion, in Jonah Savaiinaea. Jordan Phillips is a good pickup. Jason Marshall, I liked. Dante Trader, a lot of other people liked. I loved Ollie Gordon and blew my mind that he fell this far. Quinn Ewers is probably your quarterback for the future if Tua gets hurt. And Kenneth Grant is one of the better defensive tackles in this draft. So many people had him number 1. I obviously had Mason Graham number 1, but to be honest, as I'm progressing, Kenneth Grant might be the defensive tackle number 1 out of this draft. If it's not some of the later guys that, to be honest, went to teams that are just going to absolutely make them explode. So for this one, I'm happy for you guys. This is an amazing pickup for y'all. He is going to be dynamic. He's going to be one of those guys that people are like, why did we pass on him? But it's because the Dolphins took him really quickly. I think it's an absolutely stellar pickup for them. And again, these two you really can't go wrong with. So you did well. And then again, these later ones I really like as well. The double defensive tackle I don't love, but hey, That's what you identified as one of your needs. I still feel like you guys should have taken another offensive tackle, but hey, you guys obviously know what you're doing, and I don't. That's why you guys are scouts and GMs, and I'm not. So, hey, got to trust you there. Now, when it comes to the next team, we're talking about the Colts. Let's go find the Colts. Here we go. Tyler Warren's my number 2 tight end, if I'm going to be honest with you. They did pick up some really good players, though. JT Tiamalu is going to be really amazing off the edge, and I'm not discrediting Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is a good tight end, but at the next level, is he going to be Sam Laporta? No. I think he'll be closer to this next comp, but to be honest, this is still a really great comp. It's George Kittle. He's going to try to be a better blocker than he is receiver, or he's going to try to do the opposite. He's going to try and go more Kelsey, be better receiver than blocker. I just don't know in this scheme if that's really going to work, especially given your quarterback situation. As much as I want to always pair a young quarterback, like you have Anthony Richardson, like you have Daniel Jones, like you now have Riley Leonard, pairing them with a young tight end is the way to go. I just don't know in this system if that's going to be beneficial, especially with such a high pick. Could you have gone defense? Could you have just gone quarterback and just bitten the bullet? Possibly, but you still have AR-15 in there, so you have to really think about that long term. Justin Wally, I liked. Minnesota, they make really, really great defensive players and offensive linemen as well, so I'm happy with most kids out of Minnesota. Jalen Travis is going to be awesome out of Ohio State. I think that's a really great pickup for y'all. DJ Giddens, a lot of people loved him. You do need a running back because Jonathan Taylor's getting up in age. And then, of course, Riley Leonard you're bringing in. He's still basically the same size, height-wise, I think, as AR-15. Obviously thinner, not as strong, but he's going to be able to do a lot. A lot of people really liked him. I'm also a Duke fan, so he played for Duke for a bit, to which he did well, and then obviously transferred a few times. So Tim Smith out of Alabama. Alabama doesn't recruit bad players, so I'm pretty okay with that. And, of course, Hunter Wohler out of Wisconsin, another defensive powerhouse. So, again, big schools here taking big swings at players. This could pay off. This could really bite you guys. Now we get to go back into division and head over to the Atlanta Falcons. Again, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, so this was an interesting draft, if I'm going to be honest, for them. Jalen Walker was heavily mocked to the Carolina Panthers, to the point where I think he chose to not go to the draft, which I'm pretty sure he was not there, and he was local, meeting local at home, and he was at home basically expecting to get a call from the Carolina Panthers. We pass on him, taking Teteroa McMillan instead. He falls to 15 to in-division, in-state rival. And I say in-state because he played for Georgia. Now he's playing for the Falcons, so he gets to remain in that state. But in-division, so he's with my Panthers, with the Bucks, with the Saints. So he's going to have a lot of angry stuff behind him that's going to make him really want to make the Carolina Panthers pay. So this could be a pick that comes to bite us in the butt. Again, I wasn't the biggest Jalen Walker fan. I don't think he's an edge rusher. That's why he's a linebacker listed here and not an edge rusher. That's why they traded back into the first to get, in my opinion, one of the best edge rushers in this class, James Pierce Jr., who just fell down due to character concerns. Xavier Watts was the safety that the Carolina Panthers wanted, but of course falls in division. He can't go somewhere else. Billy Bowman, a lot of people liked as well. I'm not a big fan of Oklahoma safeties just because the Big 12 doesn't really stop a whole lot of, passing games. We obviously know Texas Tech was there for – oh, wait, no, they're in the SEC now. What am I talking about? I guess I can't devalue that then. Undersized, tough, beats blockers at the point of attack. You know what? I'm just going to give it a W. You took him in the 4th. You don't pick again until the 7th. You somehow steal Jack Nelson. I don't know how. Some of these offensive guys at some of these great schools are just falling out, and I don't understand why. I understand some guys are going to get beat at the next level, but if you're talking about 7th round, 2nd pick, this kid waited that long, he might be something special at the next level. So for that reason, they absolutely get an A for the division. I can't say anything negative about it, man. I really want to. Really want to put them down because, again, in my division, I want them to suck. But they actually did pretty decent with this. And same thing with the Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals were going to screw this draft up so bad. So, so, so bad. I was like, they're going to get Jalen Walker. They're going to get all these guys that are just not going to work. But Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch. Those three defensive players, 1, 2, 3 for them, was chef's kiss. Cody Simon as well. Denzel Burke, one of the corners I really liked coming out of college. Obviously, Ohio State won the Natty. Hayden Connor, again, not a big Texas guy, but those interior positions, 6'6", 314, going to be able to do something at the next level. Keaton Crawford, so many people believed in. I didn't do 100% stuff on him, so I'm not a big, advocate on grading people where I don't believe or I don't know they should be. So for that one, I'm just going to pass on Keaton Crawford. Will Johnson fell obviously due to the injury concerns, but I think they really got a cornerback number one out there. Cody Simon's another one, again, played at a fantastic school, 112 tackles, one of the fastest reaction times. He's going to be amazing for the Arizona Cardinals, and I think that division just got a whole lot harder with the Cardinals finally starting to put some things together. So maybe their scouting department is finally getting it together. Now, let's move to the Bengals. Again, I also want to say thank you. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to anybody watching Twitter, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, anything. I don't have chat up, so unfortunately I can't react or talk with you guys, but I'm just kind of going over this. Shamar Stewart is an interesting one. Again, I wasn't a big Texas A&M guy, but I understand why people are taking the risk. Demetrius Knight, another one that I did not believe in really a whole lot, but South Carolina, third-ranked linebacker. You're really just hoping that the evaluations of others are going to be able to overcome. You continue to work on that offensive line with both Rivers and Fairchild, Georgia and Miami. Obviously, I wish this was a better school, but hey, Miami's good enough. Taj Brooks, I liked. Barrett Carter's going to be a good one out of Clemson. I was about to say out of Barrett. Out of Clemson. So I think this is a solid one. This is probably a B-, C+ draft for the Bengals, if I'm going to be honest. But to add on to not only the offensive line as well as the edge presence that you absolutely need, especially if you don't bring back Trey Hendrickson, is really something to think about. So let me just check the stream real quick, make sure everything is going. Oh, sweet. Nobody's chatting anyways. Makes my life so much easier. Shout out to y'all. Okay, now obviously we move on to the Seahawks. Seahawks get a new coach. Seahawks move out so much opportunity, but Jalen Milroe's your quarterback for the future, clearly. Gray Zabel's going to be your starting guard. Emin Wari, you got because, to be honest, he's got a lot of high-end potential as opposed to on-field production. I understand he's still got good on-field production, but he wasn't a high-end safety, in my opinion, especially over the ones that you passed on. Elijah Arroyo, good receiving tight end. I think that's going to help you out a lot, especially with a young quarterback and Jalen Milroe. I know he's not going to get the start. It's going to be Sam Darnold, so you're really trying to see that. But to be honest, Milroe will most likely be the quarterback moving forwards. And by the end of this year, I think Sam Darnold will be shopped. So mark it here, 4/28/2025. I think by the 2026 start of the NFL season, Sam Darnold will not be on the Seattle Seahawks, and the starting quarterback will be Jalen Milroe. Riley Mills, I think, is a solid one. Again, Notre Dame, solid one. School to pick out of. He's got solid production, big size, trying to really shore up that center of the defensive line. Torrey Horton, big, strong, fast. Really like that pick. Robbie Ozitz, I guess you're going to take him to block. Yeah, he only caught 11 passes and everything like that. So, yeah, you're going to be using him as an effective inline blocker, like they say. That would make sense. I like, again, investing more in the offensive line. I think that it's an unsexy pick, but it's the right pick. Another one down here in Mason, Richmond, another great school in Iowa. Damian Martinez, I like the running back. Ricky White, interesting one. I like it, if I'm going to be honest with you, yeah. He's also played defense, also blocked 4 punts, so think about that. Special teams guy, going to be able to go out there on the wide receiver end as well. They obviously have JSN. And who else did they bring in? There's another wide receiver they just got. Oh, geez, now I got to go find it. Oops. Go look at that depth chart. Who's the second wide receiver that I'm thinking of? Oh, Cooper Kupp. That's what it was. And then MVS, of course. I'm also a Bobo fan, too, so I think that could be interesting. Torrey Horton's already wide receiver 4 on this, so that's solid. And then, of course, another division rival. I believe this is our last division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oops, let's go down here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Emeka Egbuka. I had Emeka Egbuka mocked to the Buccaneers at the same time that I had Tataroa McMillan mocked to my Carolina Panthers. So obviously I knew something. I just didn't stick with it. So can't give myself credit there. Benjamin Morrison, I love this position, showing up the cornerback position, especially in this division that added absolutely dynamic wide receivers. I'm super happy with that. That was your biggest need. And then these double edge later on. So you really addressed everything. Double wide receiver, double corner, double edge. I still feel like you guys should have taken a linebacker. But obviously the linebacker you guys really wanted fell off the board late in the first round in Jahad Campbell, the guy that I had mocked to you guys 1,000 out of 1,000 times by the time it happened, basically. So overall, I think this is a fantastic pickup for for Tampa. I apologize. It makes Carolina's job harder. It makes the Falcons' job harder. It makes the Saints' job harder. So overall, the NFC South got considerably better. Now, when we go over here to look at the Broncos, moved from just south of Denver. I was just in Colorado Springs just recently before I moved across the country. I do think, I absolutely think this is a solid draft for them. I don't know why you go cornerback one, meaning the first round in Jahdae Barron, because you already have Pat Surtain, but I guess the division does need a second corner out there. You really need to shore that up. I don't know why you don't take somebody else down the road instead of Crawshaw as a punter in the 6th round, but whatever. Savion Jones and Quay Robinson, I feel like you guys got two amazing edges there, especially in the late 3rd, late 4th. Super happy with that. Pat Bryant, awesome pickup. Again, dynamic. I actually have his 1-of-1 card coming in the mail soon. So if you are a Denver Broncos fan, make sure you hit me up for that. RJ Harvey, one of the better running backs in the draft. So that tells me that obviously Peyton believes RJ Harvey is going to be the way. I love that they didn't take a tight end. I absolutely thought they would end up with Colston Loveland or somebody like that. But with both tight ends going early, I guess you go BPA, take the cornerback, get the later running back. You get your wide receiver to help out. Oh my God, how come I can't remember theirs? It was Jerry Jeudy, but now he's a Brown. Who the hell are they throwing the ball to? That's so bad that I can't remember even the Broncos wide receivers. Oh, that's right, a Mims. I actually have a signed Mims card somewhere around here. I've got a Mims card with his game-worn jersey. Evan Ingram I don't like for you guys. That's what Cortland Sutton, and then you guys got Troy Franklin. Okay, good. Valet is going to be back, so it's going to be Pat Bryant or Troy Franklin in that wide receiver 3. So interesting. I think you guys have a potential to do a lot. Good pickup for Sean Payton in year 2, because he had Bo Nix last year, year 2. So I really like the Broncos overall. I think they did well. Now, this one is one of the saddest stories that I have seen. I absolutely... it's heartbreaking, if I'm going to be honest. Obviously, Derek Harmon, one of the better defensive tackles in the draft, gets drafted, is able to leave the draft, go back and see his mom. His mom then passes away. So obviously, big shout out to him, to his family, to everybody. Obviously, if his mom was here, we'd all want to say thank you for the great man that is coming to Pittsburgh. So shout out to them. Caleb Johnson, I also like. Jack Sawyer is my edge that I absolutely believe is going to be amazing. Some people have tried to say this guy doesn't have the twitch factor. And if you don't think that Jack Sawyer has the twitch factor, I want to ask you a question. So there's a gentleman who was drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers who had kind of the same concerns. You might have heard of him, or you might not have. I'm actually pulling up his draft profile right now. Not overly twitched up as an athlete, short strider who lacks explosion out of the stance and upfield to bend the edge as a pass rusher. Foot quickness is average and needs to win with technique and great hand play. Won't generate enough acceleration to crank up speed to power rush with consistency. Plays with a narrow base. Needs to play with more consistent bend to play through redirection by offensive line. Will have to add power to his base to hold point of attack against tackles, and the pass rush menu will need more options against NFL tackles. That's TJ Watt. That's close to the same evaluation that so many people gave to Jack Sawyer. I truly believe Jack Sawyer can have the potential to be J.J. Watt as a ceiling. And I feel that his floor is considerably higher than many are putting him, especially at a 4th round selection. Absolutely got a steal here. Same thing with Yaya Black out of Iowa. I almost said Ohio. Out of Iowa. Love that. And then again, the quarterback that I think is going to develop really well at the next level, especially in a place like Pittsburgh, is Will Howard. Coming off of the Natty win, absolutely can make every throw. Doesn't need to be overly mobile or anything like that. They were used to the Ben Roethlisberger, so as long as he's serviceable enough, I think he's going to be awesome. Carson Bruner and Dante Kent, 2 other solid pickups. But to be honest, these first, 5 picks is exactly what the Steelers needed. I think that they are going to be back in the playoffs. Obviously, they've been in the playoffs pretty much every year since Tomlin's been there. So why stop now? Especially with that draft, man. Moving on, we're going to move over to the Chargers. We are almost done with the first round. Then again, I'm going to go back, look at the division by division, and then go from there. Omarion Hampton, this is absolutely stellar pick. The fact that he made it past the Broncos blows my mind. I absolutely thought that Hampton or tight end was going to go to Sean Payton, but instead he becomes a Charger. Fantastic run game. Harbaugh gets his guy. He obviously already has J.K. Dobbins there as well, so we know that those are going to be split. Trey Harris I like as well. Good size, good speed, strength, going to be able to defend and assist in the run game, which is what he wants first. Jamari Caldwell, again, shoring up that center of the defense. I think it is not only a good position, but again, a position of need as well, according to this. Kyle Kennard, so many people believed in, same as my Carolina Panthers, so I think this is a solid pickup. RJ Mickens, so many people had him as like a 3rd or a 4th round safety, falls to the 6th. Wow. Branson Taylor, to be honest, had really good stats when I looked at him, so that's a good pickup, especially developing the offensive line long term. He's a tackle, so you don't necessarily need to rush him out there. He can sit there and learn behind Rashawn Slater and no, Rashawn. What? What am I thinking of? Rashawn Slater's not on there, is he? Yeah, okay, good. I was right. Rashawn Slater. Joe Alt, that's the other one. Oh my God, I can't believe I blinked on that. Joe Alt. I love Control, Alt, Delete. And Joe Alt. Again, another one. Oh, by the way, Chargers, A draft. That's a Harbaugh draft all the way. I don't think that there's a really a better way you could have done that for Harbaugh. This is another one I really, really liked. And if you were able to watch, I was actually live with Fun Football Pod, Shots from the Sideline, and so many other great guys during this time. Got to see Matthew Golden take into our friend Isaac, a.k.a. at Fun Football Pod, get their wide receiver one. They have broken the curse of not taking a wide receiver in the first round by selecting Matthew Golden. One of the highest rated wide receivers in the draft. He's got some speed on the edge, so I think it's really going to help out, give Jordan Love that downfield threat. You get the tackle of the future and Anthony Belton. Savion Williams is a really good wide receiver, but you already had a lot of really good ones. The 6'4" is probably what you're going with because you're going to go with size now over speed. Matthew Golden's still a big guy. Oh, I thought he was 6'1". Maybe not. So I guess you're going with him as the Golden is the deep threat, and then Savion in the red zone. Baron Sorrell is another one. Texas kid I don't necessarily believe in. Warren Brinson I liked. Micah Robinson I liked. John Williams. Oh, wow, he went to the 734. Wow. Green Bay did well. So let's see. 1 offensive line, 2 offensive line, 2 receivers, an edge, a linebacker, a defensive tackle, and a corner. Lots of defense. I like that. I take that back. I say go guard, but again, I've been saying you can convert tackles to guard much easier than you convert guards to tackles. So for that reason, I think you have some interchangeable pieces here. I like this draft for y'all long term. This is another one, another division. I was about to say NFC North, wasn't I? Oh, I did say it right. Yeah, the NFC North. Sorry, I always get those two mixed up for some reason. Minnesota, Donovan Jackson, I love it. Fantastic guard. Ty Felton's a decently tall wide receiver. Yep, 6'1". Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, a lot of people really liked him. Oh, I didn't realize he's 6'5". Damn, nice. And he's a hybrid player, perfect for them. Kobe King, great linebacker out of Penn State. Gavin Bartholomew. I feel like this is a really good draft. This isn't an overly fantastic draft because I feel like you did really need safety, like really bad, and you didn't take one even late. I probably would have taken a safety over Gavin Bartholomew this late because I want to say one or two of them fell, but hey, you're probably picking him up in undrafted free agency at this point. So I can't really knock that. You took best available. The Giants, obviously, we already looked at before, but just in case, I'm going to go back to it. They obviously go and get Jackson Dart. With the amount of linkage they had to Jackson Dart, there was no way they were not going to go to him. Joe Shane has links. Brian Daboll had links. The organization itself had links to Jackson Dart. Ole Miss has a link with Eli Manning previously, so there's that. Darius Alexander. I love this draft overall for them long term. I prefer that taking the edge rusher first as opposed to overdrafting Jackson Dart. So I think they did a fantastic job in evaluating that. We obviously saw this one as well. James Pierce goes in division. Jalen Walker's another one that goes in division. The Falcons really loaded up. Edge is really what they need. And to be honest, him falling this far blows my freaking mind. This is going to be the team, my wife's team, in fact, the Baltimore Ravens, that absolutely cooked on so many of these players, and I feel like so many of them fell. Obviously, the first two are absolutely mind-blowing. That both Malachi Starks, who goes 27th overall, goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Worst case scenario for that division, worst case scenario for the NFL, they get a number one safety, and then they wait to the second round to get a number one edge rusher in Mike Green, who obviously fell due to some off-the-field concerns. I actually posted it up on Twitter during the draft of some of the reports that I was hearing from some of the insiders, which there's a bunch of insiders out there, and if you go out there to go find them. You can actually pay for some of them, and they'll give you information ahead of time. I do have one of those services where I'm able to get stuff. I was actually getting draft picks early. In fact, I was on Blitz Sports Media. Shout out to them. They are absolutely amazing. Go check them out. And I was actually leaking the picks a little bit too early, so I had to stop that. But regardless, there's so much opportunity out there, especially with this one. Buchanan, Vincent, Coney, Loop, Wester, Peebles falling to them blows my mind. Garrett Dellinger falls that far, kind of crazy, but you do get two offensive linemen that actually work together in Emory Jones and Dellinger, so that long-term chemistry should be much easier for you to harness. On top of that, you invested in three offensive linemen between Jones, Vincent, and Dellinger, so you're really, really doing it to help out long-term. They took a place kicker. Interesting. In the 6th. Okay, cool. Whatever. I mean, that kind of sucks to these guys that got picked before a place or after a place kicker, but whatever. Again, this is a stellar draft. My wife is going to be over the moon when they end up going to a Super Bowl or something like that. Lions. This one is the one where I felt like they messed up. The reason why I say that is because you know who goes in the second round over Tyreek Williams? A little guy named Donovan Ezeraku. Why don't you pair him with Aiden Hutchinson? And you could have really done something. Obviously, Tate Ratledge, solid guard long term. Okay, I see why you didn't, because you went offensive line, because you lost both your offensive and defensive coaches. Okay, I see what you did here. You went big, strong guys to really help you out. Okay, so Tyreek is obviously going to take up the center. That's your pick. Okay. You take the guard of the future in Tate. You take the wide receiver of the future, who I'm a big advocate of, Isaac Tesla, 6'4", 212. Yeah, dude's got some burners on him. He may be ranked 17th at position, but he is not going to be ranked 17th best wide receiver out of this draft. It'll be considerably higher. Top 10 for sure. So if you see him in fantasy and you can get him late, go get him. Miles Frazier, I like. Work on that offensive line. I don't care what anybody says. Ahmed, I'm not the biggest fan of, but Boise State, I guess you're really hoping on potential, but in the 6th rounder, it's just whatever. Dan Jackson, that safety, played at Georgia. I like. Dominic Glovin, I'm not a fan of. So it's really these first 4 picks that I really like. The later ones, not so much. I'm probably going to be honest. I'm probably going to pick the Lions to not make the playoffs this year. Yeah, I'm probably not going to pick them to win the play or go to the playoffs. And if they do, they sneak in. So for that reason, I don't really love this draft for you guys. Adam Peters' second draft down here for the Commanders. Boop, boop. It's going to be all the way at the end. Josh Connerly, I like, one of the better tackles out of the draft. Trey Amos, I really like. He was one of my top cornerbacks coming out. Jalen Lane is somebody that so many in the Carolina fan base believed in. Kane Medrano from UCLA, decent. Yeah, the 6'3", the frame absolutely blows my mind. 6 defended passes in 2024. Good player, especially 6th round, pick 29. Krosky Merritt, I did not do a ton of stuff on, so I'm not going to pass judgment on him. Hopefully he's absolutely amazing at the next level. This, to be honest, is a A-plus draft in my opinion. This is one of the few A-plus drafts in this. Of course, if Ja'Cory is a massive overdraft, then it might screw up that A-plus, but I'm going to give him an A-plus based on these picks right here. Moving on, we've only got a few left. Let's move over to the Bills. Pretty sure there's some teams I missed as well, so we're going to have to go back and look at some. Maxwell Hairston, of course, because who is the Elam isn't going to work at corner long term, so you needed another corner. You also take Jordan Hancock and Dorian Strong. Ooh, I love that for y'all. Landon Jackson and TJ Sanders I like as well. Deontay Walker, going to be awesome at the next level. Jackson Hawes could be really, really great. I like Chase Lunt a lot. Caden Prather, I haven't done any research on, even though he went to Maryland, and I should know more. 6'4", 204. Doesn't drop many balls and has the frame to compete. So that's a good one. You obviously have a kind of stacked wide receiver room right now, so this is just kind of a throwaway pick, just hoping it's going to be something. So I think that gives you a lot of opportunity, Buffalo, to really turn this around. Especially that secondary, man. Those corners, those 3 corners are going to have to start with you pretty quickly. So, yeah. Now, obviously, the team that just keeps cooking everybody. Where the hell are they? They are the Philadelphia Eagles, which means they are down here. Philadelphia continues to piss off everybody that actually knows football. They get the number 1 linebacker, arguably one of the number 1 safeties. Ty Robinson is a fantastic defensive tackle. I do like Mac McWilliams, but at the next level, he could give some concern. Monda Jr. Smale is what I'm going to call him. Schmale. Monda Jr. is going to be really good, again, playing at Georgia. Did play behind some other linebackers like Jihad. Or I'm sorry, not Jihad. I'm thinking of Jalen Walker, not Jihad. Drew Kendall is good. Boston College, that's a great school to take a center out of. I do like Kyle McCord, but to be honest, he's going to be sitting behind Jalen Hurts, so it doesn't really make sense. 6th round flyer, who really cares? He's going to be your backup quarterback, especially now that Kenny Pickett is gone. Miles Hinton, a lot of people like. Cameron Williams could be good. Again, not a big Texas fan. Antoine Powell Ryland is another one that a lot of people really, really like coming out of this draft. So overall, I think this is another reload and continue. You don't really need a wide receiver. That's why they didn't address it here, which means you're keeping A.J. Brown. You're just rolling with that, so I like that. And then, of course, the Eagles had traded with the Chiefs to move forwards to grab this wonderful gentleman, Josh Simmons, one of my favorite tackles out of the draft. I think it was absolutely awesome. To be honest, these guys took a lot of the guys that I really liked. I liked Ashton Gallott. I liked Noel Williams. I'm not a Royals fan. Jeffrey Bassa was going to be really good. Brashad Smith. So Chiefs are going to turn this one into an absolutely fantastic draft. Look out for Ashton Gallott. I know a lot of people didn't love him at Louisville, the level of play, which has been my criticism as well. Same thing with Noel Williams, but I really think at the next level, especially in the KC system, it's going to work out fantastically. So for that reason, I'm 100% on board. Let's see some of the ones that we didn't look at. I think there's 1 or 2 teams that traded out. I want to say it's the Rams and Houston. Okay, so Rams go and take Terrence Ferguson, who I don't love for them. Jarquez Hunter becomes the backup down the road. Josiah Stewart, I like out of a solid program. Another Ohio State guy there as well. Ole Miss, Pittsburgh. To be honest, these guys are going to be names that I don't love, but nobody liked Braden Fisk a few years ago. So the Rams obviously know something that we don't. Again, not the biggest Terrence Ferguson fan, but maybe in the Rams system, it might be able to do something more. I just feel like this was a mess up. There's so many. I'm going to have to go and see the undrafted wide receivers that are still left, because if there's some of that are still out there, like Elijah Badger from the Gators, I think that needs to be one that the Rams need to bring in. Houston brings in Jaden Higgins. He was one of my favorites. Oh, wow. Lots of J's. Holy jamoli. Jaden Higgins, Ariante Arase, I really like. One of my favorite tackles in the draft. Again, Minnesota, you can't go wrong. Jalen Noel, so many people loved out of Iowa State. Oh, they took both Iowa State receivers. Interesting. Huh. Okay, and they also took, wow, Houston might have a sneaky draft here. Woody Marks, I'm not the biggest fan of, but you take the cornerback, running back tandem. Jalen Reed, I was a big fan of. Graham Mertz could be interesting. Keontae Hamilton, and then Luke Lachey. I'm a big Lachey fan. Lachey, whatever you want to call it. So overall, I like this for y'all. This actually ain't bad. You really get wide receiver and everything like that. I really feel like you should have spent more in the offensive line, but maybe that's just me. You're taking Irisay to take over the position that you let Laramie Tunsil go, or traded him to the Commanders, I mean. You add the wide receiver help because you obviously lost Diggs, I'm pretty sure. Let me just go pull it up. We also close out of that since we are all done pretty much with the draft. Depth chart. Nico, I think he's hurt, isn't he? Christian Kirk is out the year. I thought he was out the year, but regardless. Tank Dell's, I'm pretty sure out the year. He blew out his knee. This offensive line, I'm still concerned with long-term. Defense is good. Man, maybe you should have taken another corner to let him sit behind Stingley and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I guess since you're paying them, you don't really want to. Your cornerback 3 is Ronald Darby. Jalen Petre and Jalen Smith. Okay, I mean, this is good. Your wide receiver core is going to go run Nico. If Christian's not hurt, he'll be out there. Higgins and Noel will do really well. That probably means Mechie or Xavier Hutchinson can probably get shopped. He also was Iowa State. Interesting. Iowa State. They have 3 Iowa State wide receivers, and then John Mechie. Interesting. You know what? To be honest, I think there could be a trade for this man right here with my Carolina Panthers, and we'll give you somebody. I'll give you Adam Thielen. I'll give you somebody like that. But 3 Iowa State wide receivers is very interesting. Very interesting. Now, obviously, the last thing I want to go over is just our division one more time. Again, Tedderell and McMillan for the Carolina Panthers. WWW pick. Scorton's going to be good if the system can work around him. I do think Princely's going to work no matter what. Trevor Etienne, again, not the biggest fan, but given that Rico Dowdle's most likely a 1-year rental, I can see that Etienne's going to be that running back 3. If somebody like a Chuba Hubbard was to get hurt, he could obviously go in there and support that role, so I like that. Lathan Ransom was one of my favorite safeties out of the draft. I understand he's mostly a downhill safety, but at Ohio State, he just wasn't asked to play coverage a ton, so I think he still can do that, but the transition might be a bit tough to start. Cam Jackson I really like in the center. Mitchell Evans, great blocking tight end, also a great safety valve, and of course Jimmy Horn Jr. I'm super excited to have him. I had him mocked to Carolina as much as I physically could. And if you checked out my live streams, every time I had a 7th round pick for Carolina or a 6th round pick, it was Jimmy Horn. So I'm happy with that. Obviously, Atlanta gets Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Watts, Bowman, and Nelson. Again, I think this is an absolutely stellar draft. Being in division, getting Jalen Walker is not the best for the Carolina Panthers because I do think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder that he's going to want to feed off of. Now, when we continue down the road, James Pierce, of course, I love. Xavier Watts, awesome. Billy Bowman could be good, but Watts is going to get the start. Jack Nelson is going to be a great tackle for you guys to develop down the road. So in division, it's already tough for Carolina because of what was added. Now, obviously, as we go down here, there's the New Orleans Saints. Kelvin Banks, fantastic offensive tackle. Really couldn't have gone wrong with that. Tyler Shuck, you guys absolutely messed up with. I do think this could be the reason for the tank. If Derek Carr isn't good enough, roll Tyler Shuck out there. Oh my God, we didn't pick the right quarterback. You end up back in the draft next year, and hopefully you end up with an Arch Manning, which again could really suck for the division. Vernon Broughton out of Texas. You're just trying to shore up that center, even though it's not a position of need at the moment. Sanker, one of the highest rated safeties in the draft, so that's an absolutely solid pickup. Stutzman out of Oklahoma. Again, another good pickup, even though I'm not a big Oklahoma defensive guy. Now that they're in the SEC, it's going to have to change, or at least my mind's going to have to change. Quincy Riley, same thing. I'm a big fan. Devin Neal, so many people love. So this is another pickup in division that absolutely hurts the Carolina Panthers. And I say hurts in a way that they just added so many dynamic players to the Saints that we just can't ignore it. They absolutely upgraded. And then, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, in my opinion, upgraded as well. Double wide receiver, double corner, double edge in this draft for the 6 picks. Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson at wide receiver. Emeka is going to absolutely be able to come in there and change life for Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Benjamin Morrison, another one, cornerback on the outside from Notre Dame. Cannot say enough good things about this guy. Jacob Parrish, another one. David Walker, Elijah Roberts, and then Tez Johnson. I'm not a big Tez Johnson fan, especially given his size, weight, and overall 40 speed. At 154, he had a 4.51, so that's not the greatest, but obviously the hopeful high-end speed is going to help that out. He's also most likely going to be wide receiver 4 or 5. You got to remember on this team you have Mike Evans. Chris Godwin left, I think. Did he stay? No, he signed an extension and stayed. I'm going to go with that. Yeah, okay, good. Chris Godwin, yeah, Jalen McMillan, Shepard, Ryan Miller, Trey Palmer, like these later ones, there's opportunities here, but really those first 4 in Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, and McMillan are absolutely solid picks. So for that reason, I want to ask your opinion right here on Roll Coverage, where I live stream Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for free. Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Twitter, couldn't care less. Go follow me. Haven't integrated the chats yet, so I apologize about that. But make sure you're subscribe, following the whole bit. Really appreciate you guys. In the division, when it comes to draft, I'm obviously going to give Carolina the edge just because they're my team. I do think we addressed more of the immediate needs that we have more than the other teams. Number 2, I'm absolutely going to pick the Atlanta Falcons. I think Atlanta upgraded big time, especially obviously safety. Edge, I love Pierce. Again, the fits are going to matter quite a bit. And then we come down here. New Orleans is going to be... I'm going to put Tampa over them at 3. I feel like this is good, but I feel like double wide receiver was not the way to go. You should have gone linebacker. You should have gone tight end. You should have gone something else. I don't care if it's a third edge, a third corner, something like that. I feel like this wide receiver could have waited, let him fall to undrafted free agency. So for that reason, I'm putting them as Tampa Bay as the winner, number 3. And then, of course, number 4, I'm giving it to the Saints. The only reason why I'm giving it to the Saints, if I'm going to be honest with you, you took Tyler Shuck and Broughton really early, and I don't love those picks. And then your last 2 picks I don't necessarily love. I like Fadil Diggs more than Montavo, but I still feel like you guys really messed up by passing on some interesting players. Like, again, if we go rounds really quickly, I'm not going to go through every pick or anything like that, but just look at the 3rd round. Vernon Broughton. So that means you guys passed on Siobhan Ravel, Princely, Birch, Fairchild, Winston, Parrish, Knoll, Savion, Ransaw, Milam, Jalen Milrow. I know you guys need a quarterback, and it's probably would have been a better option than Tyler frickin' Shuck. Jared Wilson, Xavier Watts, Charles Grant, Savion Jones. I mean, that's just in the 3rd round of guys you guys passed. So for that reason, I do not love this. I do think this could be a great draft next year because a lot of these positions might not need to be drafted. But at the same time, in the right here, right now, Tyler Shuck is the I want to take and get a top pick next year, in my opinion. So for that reason, I'm going to move on from this one.